Thanks everyone for joining us so far. We're just going to give it a couple minutes to get people logged in and we'll get started. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to today's webinar on small business scams impacting our community. My name is Winston Larson. I am the Senior Director of Membership and Business Development here at the Small Business Association of Michigan, and we're happy to have you with us today. Real quick bit of housekeeping. Today's webinar is being recorded and we will provide the recording and slides to you via email tomorrow. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A feature or the chat. They're both being monitored and we will address those at the end. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest lecturer for today, Troy Baker, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships from the Better Business Bureau. Troy?
Yeah, thank you, Winston, and thank you to Small Business Association of Michigan for having me in to speak on this. This is an important topic for businesses all across the state of Michigan. It is something that, while many businesses think they are too small to be targets for these scams, they are not. All businesses are a target. So one of the things we at the Better Business Bureau want to do is help educate business leaders on what to avoid and what to watch for. So hopefully you take some things away from today and are better equipped to avoid these frauds in the future. A little bit about what the Better Business Bureau is for those that don't know. We're a nonprofit organization founded more than 100 years ago by good business owners. They were sick of bad business owners ripping people off. Uh, our original mission was to combat false advertising, and we still work to do that today. Our mission is to find and support trustworthy businesses that treat consumers the right way, businesses that operate in an ethical and trustworthy manner. Today, there are about 90 BBB locations covering the US and Canada. The Better Business Bureau of Michigan covers 80 of Michigan's 83 counties. Those bottom three counties down near Toledo are covered by the Toledo BBB. We have two offices, one in Grand Rapids and one in Southfield, serving essentially the entire state outside of those three other counties there. Our goal is to help support businesses who meet and uphold our standards of trust and ethics. So these are those standards that accredited businesses are required to meet and uphold. If you find a business that has that accredited business seal, they promise to meet and uphold these standards and will live by that. So that's kind of what it is. If you're interested in more about learning about the BBB, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is on the end of this. We'd be happy to talk about it. We're going to talk about scams today. One of the things that we do is help consumers and businesses identify trust and ethics. So Our website, bbb.org, is a great resource for consumers to go to help to determine if the business they're looking at is real or somebody that is fake or has issues that are going to be a problem in that consumer business relationship. It is one of the top rated websites within Google, 140 million plus users a year. 80% say they'll only consider BBB accredited businesses when they go there. It is a way for consumers to learn about a business beforehand. And that's really the biggest part for consumers and for businesses is we want people to be informed. We want you to make wise decisions. So when we talk about scams today, it's all about educating you on how to make a wise decision when you're confronted with something. So let's get into some of those scams that we see and what some of these common things that we're seeing businesses face are. The first one is fake invoice scams. So this is really the most low tech scam out there, but it works. They send you something that looks like a bill and hope you pay it. It is that simple. For a lot of small businesses, you're busy. In many cases, you're out doing the work and then you come home and you got to do all the paperwork side of things. So it may look like an invoice. It may look like something you need to pay. They send you something that looks like a bill and hope it just goes into the pile and you send them a check. In many cases, there is fine print somewhere that will tell you this is a solicitation. This is not a bill. But if you're not paying close attention or the person that does your bills isn't paying close attention, they can get brought into this and you end up paying for something you don't need to pay. So how do you protect your business? One, understand how real invoices are delivered. Make sure you have a list. These are the vendors that I work with. And if the invoice you get isn't on that list, you need to double check it. Don't be intimidated. Some of these invoices have scary language in them. The law says you're required to do this, and penalties are. In many cases, that is what the law says, and you do have to do something. It doesn't mean you have to do it with this company. You don't have to do it for this price. In many cases, there are other options if you just did your research. Create a procedure for inspecting your invoices. Create a system so you know what is going out and to whom it's going. That way you don't fall victim to this. The next one is government agency imposter scams. We see this a lot right now with government shutdown. Scammers always try to take the big thing that's happening and put their own spin on it to convince you that they're legitimate. So maybe you've got a government loan of some sort. Maybe you want a government loan of some sort. Maybe there's a deadline coming up. We see it a lot around tax day. There's this tax problem. They impersonate a government agency and say, there's a problem. And if you don't fix it right now, you're going to be in bigger trouble than the cost it is to fix it. They often pressure you into buying things that you don't need. Or you could get it at a much lower price or even free through a number of organizations that you may work with. So if you are reached out to by somebody that says they're from the government or from a government agency, do your homework, research that agency, do a search on the offer, the address, the phone number, learn about them first. If they tell you they got free money in a grant, really be skeptical about that. Don't just trust names, logos, and seals. Those can always be copied. Those can always be faked. And remember that no agency is going to ask for payment via gift card, wire transfer, or cryptocurrency. I had an auto repair shop. A lady called me and said, the boss is out of town. We got this call from somebody saying they were from the government and there's a problem and we need to pay this right now by going and getting gift cards. Half the staff thinks it's real. Half the staff thinks it's fake. The more you can do to train your staff on how to respond to this, because you might not always be there with the answer. So showing your staff, these are things that are not appropriate. Sometimes we think common sense will win the day. It doesn't always win the day. You do need to reach out to your staff. You do need to teach them and warn them about these things before it comes to you. There are two types of fake check scams that we see affecting business. The first one is the same type of fake check scam that affects consumers. Somebody sends you a check for more money than you're owed, asks you to cash the check, and then send some of it away. A recent case that I got was a home cleaning company where they were told, we would like to hire you to clean this new home we bought. We're going to send you the money to clean the home. We also are going to send you some extra money if you could send that to the movers so the furniture's moved in by the time we arrive. Well, any money you send to the movers are the scammers. The money's gone. The check is fake. And when it comes back as fake within a couple days or a couple weeks, you're on the hook for any money you sent away. So never cash a check for more money than you're owed and send money away. That is always going to be a scam. The next fake check scam we see affecting businesses are checks that you write that are intercepted. They're washed, or they take your information and they create their own fake checks, but all the money they're taking out when they cash them are coming out of your bank account. One different auto repair shop, some friends of mine said they woke up one morning and there was $30,000 missing from their bank account. And it turns out somebody had taken the checks out of the mailbox by the road, washed them, and cashed them in their own name for larger dollar amounts. So when it comes to fake checks, always know that people overpaying you is a red flag, especially if they want you to give some of that money somewhere else. If you ever have a problem, talk with your bank or credit union. Talk to your financial institution. They can help you walk through how to get that money back or how to respond to it. If you are going to write your own checks, deliver them directly to the post office. Don't put them in a mailbox out by the road. Don't make them easily accessible by people that can come and take them. Because as silly as it seems, they are doing it and it works. So be careful about where you're putting those checks. If you take it directly to the post office, there's less of an opportunity for a random person to grab them. And then talk to your banks and financial institutions about positive pay or reverse positive pay programs. There are a number of programs out there that can limit your business checks being cashed by somebody that's unauthorized. The banks can help you monitor that. So pay attention to what those programs are and look into those for your business if you haven't already. One of the most common scams we see affecting businesses are phishing scams. Emails, fake messages that look real, usually with the goal of getting you to download something or click a link, trying to gain access to personal information, to login, password information. They're meant to scam large numbers of people. These are very generic emails that go out. The problem is once you're breached, the hackers can stay in your system for a long time. One of the things that we do at the Better Business Bureau is we talk to a lot of students in schools. And I always ask the students, who here uses the same login and password for everything? And nearly all the hands in the classroom go up because most people do that. And most of your staff probably does that. They have the same login and password for everything. So when a phishing email goes out for their iTunes account or their Facebook account, it's the same login and password they're using in your business. So having a conversation with your employees about using different passwords at your business. The passwords and logins used for your company should never be the same or the same logins and passwords used at home for social media accounts. Keeping those separate is critical. Teaching your staff to think twice before downloading, being aware of urgent requests. If something looks suspicious, ask somebody. Don't just click on something. Use your common sense in that case, and then question generic emails. Anything that's not expected really does need to be questioned. When it comes to businesses, a lot of your insurance, especially cybersecurity insurance, your rates are going to be dictated on how you train your employees and what kind of systems you have in place. So the more you can do to educate yourself and your employees, the lower your insurance rates are going to be. So this not only helps you in the short term financially, but it will help you in the long term not falling victim to a lot of these online scams that are going to cost you time and money and other breaches. The next type of phishing scam are spear phishing scams. And this is used to target a specific individual, usually a company executive. They'll find leadership information, usually on your website, and reach out in an attempt to divert paychecks or gain access to your systems. And these usually lead to bigger losses. And everybody is subject to this. Everybody can fall victim to this. And everybody is a target, including myself. And I share this so that everybody knows kind of that this does happen. I was a target of a spear phishing attempt. This was an email that was sent last year. Somebody impersonated me trying to get my payroll diverted. So they sent this to our vice president of operations, not knowing that our VP of operations doesn't handle payroll for the BBB, and asked to have my payroll information changed. There are a number of problems with this. One, that's not sent to the right person. Two, it's not the right email address. At dyssrl.com.ar is not Better Business Bureau's website. And it ends with warm regards. I've worked with Terry for 7 years. She knows I'm not going to end my emails to her with warm regards. But all of those things line up to tell me that this is fake. And just walking through emails that your staff gets, teaching them what to avoid is crucial. So having specific training for HR, payroll, accounting, especially those people that deal with people's paychecks. One CEO actually had their HR person change the information for what they thought was the CEO. And come payday, the CEO didn't get their paycheck. And what the CEO told me was, as bad as it is, it was better them than a number of their employees. That CEO could wait a couple weeks and make it work out. Some of the employees that are living paycheck to paycheck, that could really be a problem. So have conversations. All account changes need to be verified by phone or in person. You can't just do it by email. And creating those good systems and policies are going to protect you and the organization. The business email compromise scams, they appear to be from somebody you know and target select number of victims. This one's one of my favorites here. This was actually shared by the Attorney General a couple years ago. She actually, an email was impersonating the Michigan Attorney General to her staff, saying she was in a meeting. Please go out and buy eBay gift cards for an event she had coming up. It was a good opportunity for her to test her staff, I guess, and make sure they didn't fall victim to this. But we see these a lot. They will ask you to go buy gift cards. They'll ask for sensitive information. They will impersonate somebody that you know, somebody who might actually make a request. So never believe emails asking you to go buy gift cards, go take money away. There was a well-publicized story out of Southwest Michigan. Somebody at a casino got emails and was told, take money out of the cage and drive it to this address. They impersonated the leadership of the casino, and the person did it and took money out of the casino cage and drove it and ended up handing it off to the scammers unwittingly. So don't believe these emails. Be very skeptical. Verify emails with the source, either by phone, text message, other ways you know you can get a hold of them, and always beware of links you don't recognize. When we talk about scams, realize this old idea that they're all going to be obvious goes away. You know, if you think back to the old Nigerian print scams, where it was very obvious that this was going to be fake, scammers are using AI to make their scams better. They look good. In fact, this was a story from about a month ago that NBC News did. This person used AI for the entire scam. They put in the right prompt that said, identify businesses that are vulnerable to attacks. And the AI went out and found a list of businesses. It says, write the program to attack these businesses. And it wrote the program. Send the program. So they sent it. They stole a lot of information. They asked the chatbot, hey, go through this information and get me the good stuff, analyze things and get me the good things out of this. So it did. It said, write the ransom note and determine how much I should ask in money for. And so all this person had to do was write the chatbot prompt and then send it off to the business. And they made lots of money and attacked, in this case, 17 companies ended up being breached all through AI. AI did the entire hack for them. So as we go through, these aren't necessarily just going to be large companies. These are going to be small companies that are easy to attack. If you think about your business, how many people do you have specifically protecting your business from cyber attack? One, maybe if you're a small business, maybe none. How many people do very large companies in our state have? They have whole teams dedicated to it. And criminals are going to go where it is easiest in many cases. If you think about a robber, is the person going to rob the fortress that's got armed guards on the wall, or are they going to rob the guy whose front door's open? They're going to rob the guy whose front door's open. So taking steps to protect yourself is going to be crucial, especially on the cybersecurity front. When we talk about that, we talk about ransomware attacks. Hackers lock down computer systems and steal your data and demand payment. They might also threaten the public release of information. They're going to demand large sums of money, usually in cryptocurrency, to unlock your systems or to not go public with it. The way you protect yourself is right now, is the steps that you take now to prevent that from happening. So first, making sure you're backing up all your files. And I've heard a lot of businesses say, I don't have anything people want. If you take credit cards, you have information people want. If you have information about your customers, addresses, phone numbers, work they've had done, you have information they want. So backing up those files will help you if there is a cyber attack, get your systems back up and running. Can you really afford not to have access to your systems for weeks at a time? Most businesses can't. So having them backed up will help you speed this along. Training your staff to spot and avoid these phishing attempts. Again, training your staff to do this. The weakest spot when it comes to security in your organization is your staff. It only takes one person to mess up and let somebody in the door before they gain access to a whole lot of different things. Use caution when you access remote computer access. So use VPNs and other systems to make it so it is safer when you're accessing things remotely. A lot of people work remote now. So getting into your system really should be as secure as possible. Making sure you're doing regular updates and patches. Using multi-factor authentication for all of your systems. It is a pain. It is a pain to take those extra steps. But I will tell you, those extra steps will prevent bad actors from getting into your system and costing you a lot of money. And then if you have cybersecurity insurance, and I'm telling you, most of your insurance policies probably have it or are adding it, and there are additional protections to it, the cost of that is often coincides with how much of these other things you are doing. What steps are you taking to mitigate the risk? So the more you and your business can do to mitigate the risk, the less your insurance is going to cost. If you do have a problem, if you do have an issue that comes up, you can report it to the Michigan State Police Cyber Command Center. The information is right there on your screen. The reports are confidential and are not subject to the Freedom of Information Act. So just because you report this to Michigan State Police doesn't mean everybody's going to find out. But it is so crucial that you take these steps, because along with the reputational risk you have, the lost income you get from time down, there's the reputational risk that you're going to have when people find out that you didn't take care of them the way you were expected to, and their personal information. So really taking the time to make sure your systems are up to date and having conversations with organizations that know what they're doing. From high tech to a little more low tech, we'll talk about the vanity award scams. There are a lot of award programs out there. Many of them are legitimate, some of them are not. If you didn't have to apply for the award, if there was no real effort behind it, if there's not a local organization doing it, I would be very skeptical. The Better Business Bureau has our Torch Award for Ethics. There's applications, there's nominations involved, there's a whole judging process. I know a number of other fantastic organizations have awards programs. But what I'm talking about are these awards programs that send you something in the mail and say, hey, you won the best of whatever, just send us some money and we'll give you your trophy. You shouldn't have to pay to collect the award. These organizations that are legitimate want to celebrate you, not just collect money from you. So you usually have to enter. You shouldn't have to pay to collect a prize. It's the same thing with lottery scams. You should never have to pay to collect your prize. So be wary of those if they're telling you, pay us $250 and we'll send you your trophy. That's not a legitimate award organization. Utility scams, I think many of us have seen these over the years. They claim your payment is overdue. They're actually coming to shut off your power if you don't pay right now by gift card or a cash app or some sort of thing like that. Their goal is to try to get you to act and feel pressured to do things. Don't let that pressure get to you. Take your time. Feel free. If there really is a problem with your electric company, you can hang up and call the electric company using the phone number on your bill. They'll still take care of it 5 minutes from now once you find that information. Don't be intimidated by threats. Their whole goal is to get you in a heightened state so that you won't think that it's a scam. You won't use your common sense there. This is really kind of a sad one for a lot of philanthropic organizations in our community. Scammers go around and pretend to be charities and ask for donations. This came up in West Michigan a few years ago. People going around saying, I'm with the local sports boosters group and we're raising money, and taking money instead of the real sports boosters getting it. The fake people took the money. A lot of small businesses in our communities are very philanthropic and want to help these local booster organizations. Know who you're writing a check to. Verify with the school or the other organization that you really are giving the money to them. In fact, don't hesitate to send the check directly to the school if you're trying to support a local athletic program or something. When it comes to charities, don't feel pressured to take it over the phone and do it. Look for things other than just the name attached to it. Do some research on a charity. Make sure they really are a 501c3 organization and verify what they're going to do with the money. And then if you identify somebody, whether you got an email or a phone call, donate directly to the organization. A lot of those phone calls come from political fundraisers or professional fundraisers, and they take a large chunk of that money. If you really want to donate to an organization, send the money directly to them. All of the money goes to that organization. You know where it's going. And then I always say be wary of crowdfunding requests. There are a number of websites out there where anybody can put up a donation page and say this money is going to a cause. There's not a whole lot of oversight usually on where that money actually goes to. I think back to a previous career. I worked in journalism and I was at a horrible scene with a crime. Several people had died, and somebody came up while we were on that scene and said, this is horrible. I'm going to start a GoFundMe page for the people involved. They didn't know who they were. They had no connection to them, but they were going to start a GoFundMe page, which could be very well intentioned. But anybody that donates, how do you know that that money is really going to go where you say it's supposed to go? The best thing to do if you really do want to donate to a nonprofit, find them, find the organization you really want to go to, and then send them the money specifically and directly, making sure the money gets where you want it to go. When we talk about employment scams, a lot of people talk about employment scams from the consumer model, from the employee standpoint. But these affect employers as well. A number of scammers are impersonating legitimate organizations to steal information from potential employees. Your company might be impersonated. So what they'll do is they'll pose as the employer, as your company, and try to solicit real employees or potential employees for personal information. Try to get them to do odd jobs, take part in a scam. So the best thing that you can do is be very transparent on your website or with your job postings how to contact the company, how to apply. Make sure that it's up to date online. You don't have extraneous information up there. Pay attention to the well known job sites and report fraud immediately. If you see somebody impersonating you, report it immediately to get it taken down. And then be clear about the application process so that job seekers know they're really talking to you and not a fake person. When we talk about scams overall, some of those common ones we see overall, now, not just for businesses, but for consumers as well, because all the business people in here are consumers. When you go home at the end of the day, scams are still coming at you. They just might come in a different direction. Online purchase scams, employment scams, cryptocurrency scams, and home improvement scams. In fact, cryptocurrency scams are the riskiest scams we see at the Better Business Bureau right now. The most likely to work, take the most money, and some of the most common we see. And that goes back to how we pay for things. Most organizations are not taking payment through cryptocurrency. So somebody tells you you need to go get Bitcoin to pay this thing, you probably don't. That's not how most organizations are taking payment. When we talk about the red flags, deadlines, and pressure, they want to get you in a heightened state. They want you to be off your game. Request to pay by gift card, wire transfer, through a payment app, or through cryptocurrency. If you're told to keep it a secret, that's a big red flag. I don't know many organizations that are doing something legitimate but tell you to keep it a secret. Don't tell anybody you're doing this. Usually isn't a sign that you're on the up and up. And then requesting private or personal information. Really be careful with who you're giving that information to make sure it doesn't go further and you're not putting yourself at risk. The ways you protect yourself, especially as a business, keep good records. Have an invoice inspection process. So know what invoices are going out, know who your vendors are, and what those dollar amounts should be. Pay attention to that. Be careful with what information you share and protect your devices. And the biggest part is educate your team. The more your team knows to avoid, the easier it will be to avoid falling victim to the scam overall. If you do fall victim to a scam or you come across a scam, report it to the Better Business Bureau. Our scam tracker, bbb.org/scam tracker, is a free resource where if you get something and you're not sure whether it's a scam or not, you can look it up. You can see what other people are saying, or you can report scams that you see. Take the time to report it to us, the police, the FBI, the Federal Trade Commission. All these organizations work together to combat fraud within the marketplace. And in some cases, we are able to get people's money back or shut these scams down. We work with the Attorney General's office regularly. And in some cases, we have been able to get people refunds for the money that they've lost if we can track down where these scammers are and who they are. So reporting it does make a big difference. And then our contact information here, Better Business Bureau of Michigan. Our offices in Grand Rapids and Southfield, covering 80 of Michigan's 83 counties. We will have this slide deck available as well to share out to those that are here. So you don't need to write this information down if you don't want. And then a number of resources and links that are available to kind of help you in this path. Everything from the State Attorney General to learning about scams, submitting complaints, reviews with the Better Business Bureau, Michigan State Police, MC3. All are fantastic resources for you in the event that something does happen or you need to make a report. So thank you for your time in that. I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Troy, if you don't mind, I've got a couple of questions that
Yeah.
I'd like to pose to you. So I like to try to give business owners some actionable items with these webinars. So if a small business could only implement like maybe 3 controls this quarter, which 3 would you feel move the needle the most or would do the most in as far as protecting their business?
Yeah, step 1 is phishing training, helping your staff understand what is a real email and what is a fake email. That is the most common way that cyber intrusions are taking place right now, as far as we hear at the Better Business Bureau. So training your staff on what to avoid on that. Um, Talking to your bank about things like positive pay and helping identify what could be fraudulent transactions on your bank accounts. Those types of things will help you prevent that money coming out of your account when it really isn't supposed to. Those are probably the top two that I would say. The last one again is having systems in place with your HR. Whoever handles your HR needs to make sure that when it comes to changing payment methods for organizations or staff, there's verifications in place before anything changes.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. And then I guess for businesses who either don't have IT staff or don't have an MSP, managed service provider, what are some of the practical upgrades that they can utilize with their technology stack that's not going to totally freak them out, but something that that is simple enough to engage with, but will provide some decent protections for them?
Yeah, I always say the best thing that a business can do, especially a small business that doesn't have an IT staff or somebody, is have a conversation with one of those IT companies that are out there right now. There are a lot of great companies that can come in and give you a quick look at either no cost or low cost in many cases, and give you some of those first steps. And there are a number out there that I know of that will be able to say, okay, these are your vulnerability points. And especially when it comes to cybersecurity, you're never going to be 100% safe. Doesn't matter how big you are, how many people you have on staff, there's always going to be risk. But do everything you can to protect yourself within reason. So if you're a very small, I use the example for an auto repair shop that
Yep.
maybe has two computers, right? You've got one at the front desk and one in the owner's office. The number of intrusion points are probably pretty small, but there are steps you're going to want to make sure you've got antivirus. You're going to make sure that you've got the updates on your Windows or the programs that you use are completely updated. You're getting rid of those common vulnerabilities that are there. You don't have to have a degree in cybersecurity to protect yourself in a small environment. You just have to go through some common steps. And some of these other IT companies that are out there can give you those guidelines based on what your specific business has, because every business is different.
Yep. And shameless plug for those members who are out there watching, SBAM has some great tools on the technology side, the cybersecurity side specifically, for you to check out so you can engage with the member within SBAM who does our managed service providers. They do exactly as Troy outlined. They look at your system and they kind of give you an understanding of what your vulnerabilities are and how you can better protect yourself. So with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us live or on demand. Remember, this webinar is being recorded and we'll email the recording to those here in attendance and the registrants for those watching later. And the resources will also be included with this video. I want to say a big thank you to Troy and the Better Business Bureau. And on behalf of SBAM, my name is Winston. Thanks for being here, and we will see you next time.